You ever work so hard for something, you finally get there, and you realize the reward you got, it just wasn't the reward you were actually looking for? It's such a classic human story, right? We get so focused on the shiny wrapping paper that we completely forget about the gift inside. Well, it turns out this is not a new problem, not at all. It's an ancient one. So let me just ask you this, straight up. Right now, in your own life, your career, your personal growth, are you chasing leaves while some incredible treasure is just waiting for you, totally untouched? This exact feeling is at the very heart of a 2,500-year-old story from the Pali Canon. It's called the Simile of the Heartwood, and today we are going to unpack it. So the story kicks off pretty simply. Imagine a person setting out on this really profound journey. They have one clear goal: to find the heartwood of a huge, magnificent tree. They're not after the branches, not the bark. They want the absolute essential core. This is a quest for what is most real, most valuable. And there's this great word in Pali for this ultimate prize, sara. It literally means heartwood, and it represents the goal of any deep journey we take, the thing of ultimate substance and worth. But as we're about to see, the path to finding it is just filled with some very tempting distractions. Now, to really get what's going on here, we're going to look at this story in two different ways. First, we're going to start with a standard kind of dictionary-based translation. This gives us the surface-level story, the straightforward version of the path and, all its pitfalls. So, the seeker in our story, he keeps making the same mistake over and over. He starts out, he gets some fame and praise, and he thinks, yes, this is it, I've arrived. The Buddha calls this mistaking the leaves for the goal. So he moves past that, he achieves this amazing moral virtue, and then mistakes the outer bark for the prize. He goes even deeper, develops incredible concentration, and mistakes the inner bark. And finally, he gains this profound knowledge and mistakes the sapwood, which is the layer right before the core, for the heartwood itself. The big takeaway from this first reading is just so simple. Each and every time, he stopped too soon. He settled for a byproduct of the journey and made it the final destination. And look, fame, virtue, concentration, knowledge, these are all good things. But the story is warning us that they can become these sneaky traps for our ego if we mistake them for the ultimate goal. Okay, this is where things get really interesting. We're going to go back to the original Pali text, but this time we're going to use an ancient form of linguistic analysis called niruti. Now, this is not about looking up words in a dictionary. This is about digging down to the very root syllables of the words to get closer to what the Buddha actually intended. And this is where the story just gets a radical new depth. All right, let's take that second trap, the one our first translation called moral virtue. The Pali word is sila. Now, on the surface, this means pretty much what you'd expect. Behaving well, following a moral code, checking off all the boxes of being a good person. It's all about your action. But when we go to the root of the word, seal, the meaning just completely shifts. It doesn't just mean rules. Its core sense is more like nature or character or even a firm foundation to stand on. So you see, it's not about what you do. It's about what you are. It's the very ground of your being. Okay, let's do the same thing for the third trap, samadhi. The standard definition is concentration, or a state of deep, one-pointed focus. We tend to think of it as a mental skill, right? Something you practice and achieve in those quiet moments of meditation. But when we break the word down, we see something way deeper. Samadhi is made of three roots: sam, which means together, a, which means completely, and da, meaning to place or establish. So the root meaning isn't just focus, it's to bring together completely. It's about a total unification of your heart and your mind. It's an integrated way of being. So, what's the big deal here? I mean, what's the real difference? Well, when we put these two translations side by side, you'll see how this deeper understanding of the language just completely transforms the entire message of the parable. On the one hand, you've got the surface meaning. Sila is just a checklist of moral rules. Did I do the right thing today? Check. But on the other hand, you have the root meaning. Sila is your solid foundation. It's your unshakable character, the very ground you stand on. The difference is just, it's profound. To put it in today's terms, morality isn't some static checklist you have to complete. No way. It's a dynamic launchpad. It is the stable, solid base from which your entire personal journey takes flight. It's the thing that makes everything else even possible. And we see the exact same pattern with samadhi.
The surface meaning sees it as this temporary state of focused attention, something you kind of switch on and off. But the root meaning, it reveals it as an integrated mind, a fully unified way of being, where there's absolutely no conflict between your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions.
And this is the crucial difference. Real concentration isn't some skill you pull out of a toolbox when you need it. It is a complete transformation of who you are. It is not something you use. It is the person you become.
So if fame and virtue and concentration and even knowledge are all just layers of leaves and bark, then what is the actual Sara? What is the real heartwood that our seeker was looking for all along? Well, the text gives us the answer. It's called Akupa Cheto Vimutti, and that translates to the unshakable freedom of the heart. This isn't just another achievement to feel proud of. It's a profound state of liberation. And the key word here is that first one, Akupa.
Akupa means unshakable, irreversible, and that is why it's the true heartwood. Because unlike fame, which fades, or pride in your virtue, which is fragile, this freedom cannot be lost. It can't be turned into another source of ego. It is the one prize that once you get it, can never, ever become another wrapper. It is the gift itself.
You know, this ancient parable is such a powerful map. It warns all of us that on the path to anything truly meaningful, we are going to run into things that look like the goal. We'll get praise, we'll build character, we'll gain skills, and the temptation will always be to just stop there.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. Take a look at your biggest goals. What is the real heartwood you're truly after? And maybe more importantly, what shiny leaves or sturdy bark might you be mistaking for the real thing along the way?